Hashem Tzvasai Tivtach Ufi Agiti Lasecha. We are now in the 6th parak of Amos. In this parak, Amos continues to give his musar to the ultra wealthy, luxurious, upper echelons of society people. And in the first pasuk, he calls them Hoi Hasha'ananim B'Tzion, those who are in Zion, but they're not in Zion, they're actually in Shomron. So this is an interesting twist where these are the people who feel like they are in Zion. They feel like they are in this area of holiness, but it's a holiness that they created on their own. If we go back in history, when the kingdom was split during the time of Shlomo because of the situation with his wives, it wasn't supposed to be split permanently, but rather when Yerovam, the first king, took office, he put into effect that there would be these pseudo Batei Migdash from Dan to Beersheba, so that the people would no longer have to go to Yerushalayim. And over the course of time, Yerushalayim became an archaic representation of the Beis HaMikdash to the people in Israel. But that wasn't ever intended to be so, but the divide ended up being a permanent divide. And so here, the people who are in Shomron, they're considering themselves as though they have the holy status of Zion. Nikuvei Reshis Hagayim, Reshis, the first of the nations. Reshis meaning, we know Reshis Chachma Yiras Hashem, that the highest level that we were supposed to be. We were supposed to be the Reshis of the world, the Or Lagayim, but rather now they have turned it into such a perverted situation. And so now you might think, Ivru Kulana Ra'u L'chu Misham Hamas Rabbah, the place of Kalna and Hamas. Either Hamas, these are referencing the other nations, like, oh, you think that you have a level of protection that is greater than these other nations, or Hamas could be the hot springs in an area of Israel that you think that you're going to be protected, that your borders are strong. They are not going to be. That you are better off. That is not going to be the case, but rather your border is going to be weaker. And we continue to see that the rebuke of the wealthy in Pasuk Daled, Hashochavim al mitot shein, those who lie on couches of ivory. You stretch out on your beds, you eat fatty foods, you have a hedonistic, materialistic lifestyle. You are corrupt in that you have, not that you should withhold from all the pleasures, but your focus is pleasure for the sake of pleasure. What's interesting is something that I heard, that why is it these lying on couches of ivory? That's not a very comfortable experience. So they found the archaeologists found remnants of Sancherib's time period, where Sancherib received from Chizkiyahu these beds of that had ivory details embedded within them, and that seemed to be a very luxurious item of the times. And so it's rather that you have not to sleep on, but these are period luxury timepieces that perhaps represent the gaudiness and the luxuriousness of the people that are being mentioned right now. That you that not only do you live a gaudy lifestyle, but in Pasuk Hey, but you play the Naval David. You think that you're as musical and as David HaMelech on his harp, and and you also think that what you're doing has religious connotations, and that you're a holy person because you're acting, with instruments of holiness, but that's not at all. These klei that you have it's a joke. You're not actually like David HaMelech. And David here is filled with a yud, which is a David Malay. It's a full yud. And the interesting thing is, why is this? So this is actually something that was more of the second Beis Hamikdash. There was a lot more of this type of spelling. And perhaps it will connect us later to another element in the perek, which is the dod, dalid vav dalid, which will be in a positive regard, and we'll get to it later. So let's just hold on to that piece for a moment. And so basically, all of you people, not only do you do that, but shotrim marzekei yayin v'reishis shmanim. The two elements of wine and oil are the beautiful elements of the Beis Hamikdash. And what do? You use them for your own pleasure. You might look like you're lighting a menorah, but you're not really doing anything l'shem shamayim. You're doing it for your own grandizement. You're doing mitzvos even. You're using the oils and the wines at your table on Shabbos, not in a positive way. And so you might look like a duck, but you're not actually a duck. V'lo nachlu al shever Yosef, and you don't care about the destruction of Yosef. Now we remember from the other parak, Yosef is a representation of Bnei Israel. But what does this mean? So either the Shever Yosef reminds us of Shever is grain, and the grain of Yosef reminds us of the story of Yosef, which was the beginning of the end of sinas chinam, hatred of brothers, and you never really learned that lesson, and you still don't care. You're all wealthy and enjoying life while there are people that don't have around you. Or the Shever Yosef, a beautiful idea that is mentioned. Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshitz, Rabbi Rosner mentions it. Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshitz makes mention of the people of Prague, that they should cry out that there were other cities that the people of Prague were taken, and they were mistreated by the Goyim, and that it was the job of everyone to cry for anyone that doesn't receive good things in life, that we should cry for our brothers who are in pain or suffering or at war or any of the above. And when it comes to our own personal difficulties in life, that we have to accept ba'ahava. We should accept that that's just the will of Hashem. But we don't put that same mentality when it comes to our brothers, anyone. For that's the Shever Yosef. For that, we have to be broken inside. We have to daven for people that need davening. We have to really feel for the plight of others, and not just accept everything as Yisurim ba'ahava. And so for that reason, you are going to go into exile, and you are going to, all of the beautiful, the banquets and the haughtiness that you feel are all going to pass away. And Hashem says, and he swears, which is such a strong sense in Pasuk Ches. Now we're shifting gears to another part, which is he hates Mitzadev Anochi Gaon Yaakov V'Amrosav. I hate my house. And it's a very difficult position to be in when you don't feel like you want to go home. You don't feel like the shalom bayis or the nachas of your children or things that are just so difficult. It just feels like home doesn't bring out the best in you. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, that's the most difficult for me. I don't want to go to my house. I don't want to go to the Beis HaMikdash anymore. I hate it. Sanesi, I hate it. V'hizkarti iram laha. And I'm going to deliver the city and its fullness, therefore, because I can't be in my house anymore. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that there's going to be a level of burning that's going to happen, but here's the interesting thing: v'nasa'o dodo. But there's going to be an uncle, someone, a beloved. We know Anila Dodi Li, the beloved, is going to come and is going to start burying the dead bones. And so here is again, when Hashem is promising that bad things are going to happen, there's going to be a slight repair. There's going to be some remnant that remains that is able to then bury and to restart. And this is the interesting thing. Here, the Dode is in the positive. He's a good person. He's coming. And it gives us these images of what happened in the Holocaust, where people came back to their homes only to find that the Rahman al-Atzlan, that it was filled with bones that needed to be buried. And here, that's what Yisrael has experienced throughout the annals of history. But here, someone is going to come and bury, and that is a Dode without the Yud. And so here's the differentiation. Not to be confused, Hashem is saying, I put my name in the first one. You didn't put me in there. And so that's in the negative. And here the Dode is the Daled, the Vav, and the Daled. Hashem says, you don't have to put your name into me, because I see that there's going to be, there is going to be the repair. There's going to be someone who's good, Yiras Hashem, who's going to come back and who's going to be buried, Lahaskir b'Shem Hashem, and remember the name of Hashem. And so then Hashem says that he is going to destroy all those who think of themselves as haughty, the people that perverted justice. We know that Al Shlosha Dvarim Ha'olam Omed, Al HaTorah, Al Avoda, and Gemilas Chasadim. The world was created with Torah, Gemilas Chasadim, and Avodas Hashem. We also know somewhere else that how does the world go on? Ala Din, Emes, and Shalom. That there's Din, there's Mishpat, there's Shalom, and there's Emes, and there's truth. And so here you're taking away the Mishpat, you're taking away the thing that sustains society. You're taking it away. Now, a very interesting idea, and that is, so now we have 6 things. We have Al Shoshad Dvarim Ha'olam Amed, Al Torah, Avoda, and Gemilas Chasadim, and then we have Din, Shalom, and Emes. So which one is it? And so perhaps during the time where there is a Beis HaMikdash, it's Al Shlosha Dvarim Omed, Torah, Avoda, and Gemilas Chasadim. But when we don't have that anymore, then we have to go to a lower level, which is Din, Shalom, and Emes. Or that the world was created at first in its ideal form, in the strongest form of the 6 is Torah, Avoda, and Gemilas Chasadim. But now that it's sustaining itself, all we do need with Hashem's help is Din, Shalom, and Emes. Shalom between people, Din, righteousness, and Emes, and truthfulness. So here Hashem's saying, you took it away. You took away the pillars of the world. And so for that reason, there's going to be a nation. It's going to come and it's going to oppress you. It's not going to be good for you because you took away a pillar. And so when you take away a pillar, there's an unevenness and a shakiness, and it all comes tumbling down. And so this is a very harsh parak that gives us real pause on what are we being besimcha in the right way? Are we raising ourselves, our children, and our lives in a way that really focuses not on taking away from the pleasures of life, but are we doing it la'avodas Hashem for the right reasons, for the right purpose? Is our heart, our minds, and our soul all together when we're doing our mitzvos, when we're living our lives, when we're raising our families? And so this gives us a good just time to reflect, especially now that we finished we're in the last day of Hanukkah, which is so filled with so much beauty, so much light, so much that could be used, the mitzvos and beautiful things. But it also could be a very commercialized and materialistic holiday. It could be a gluttonous one. It could be one that does not, that takes the oil in the wrong way, that takes the wine in the wrong way, that takes the music and the pleasures and the games and everything. It could be used in the positive if we gear it right, or it could be used in the negative. So hopefully, Emret Hashem, the light of Hanukkah will remain in the positive, and there is a short Dvar Torah that will follow on Hanukkah.